This podcast is part of the Frederick Podcast Network. Learn more at listenfrederick.com.
Discussions in this show should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult your investment professional before making important investment decisions. Securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a registered broker-dealer member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor, Hummingbird Wealth Management, LLC, and Cambridge are not affiliated. Now sit back and relax and enjoy another episode of Be the Hummingbird. Here's your host, Laura Johnson.
Hey there, and welcome to the latest edition of Be the Hummingbird. It's a podcast where we try to inspire, motivate, and educate. So what are we inspiring you and motivating you and educating you to do? Well, some of us are living the perfect life. We have no qualms. We have no issues or concerns. Yeah, that's not a lot of us, right? So, we all find in our lives there's probably somewhere, sometime that we have some room for improvement. And so I like to think that when we share with each other our stories or our knowledge or experiences, that we all grow from that. And that's really the purpose behind what we're trying to do here and what we're trying to accomplish on this podcast, Be the Hummingbird. So what is our topic for today? Well, it's financial wealth or financial wellness, for every life path. So today we're talking about financial wellness, and it's not the generic kind of financial wellness. We're really diving into your lifestyle, your values, your goals to shape your particular financial plan. And there's not a one-size-fits-all blueprint, Just like when we go to the gym, there's not a one-size-fits-all there. Was at the gym this morning and thinking I'm really tough and strong, and then lady sitting next to me is doing 20 pounds more. I'm like, okay, never mind. So I can't compare myself to her just in the gym, just like I can't compare myself to somebody else when it comes to a financial plan. So when we go through this journey of learning about financial wellness, we're going to focus on 4 different life paths. And then we're going to wrap it up with how to build a plan that's truly for you. It's not your neighbor. It's not your mother. It's not your sister, your brother, not your kids. It's yours. So the first segment we're going to talk about are people who are single or solopreneurs. Solopreneurs are entrepreneurs that are working on their own, right? Or single, I'm not attached to my husband or my wife or my significant other. It's just me. So this group will include young professionals, freelancers, and single income earners. And what's the common thread of these people? Independence and flexibility. So what are the key priorities for this group of people? First and foremost is the emergency fund. And really, this is key for everybody. But this group of people needs to have at least 6 months of expenses saved up in an emergency fund. Why? Because they're single. They don't have a fallback person. They don't have a person that they can say, hey, I can't make my car payment this month. Can you spot me some, couple $100? Although I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm in the market for a new car. This is really overwhelming. I'm looking at a car payment that's more than the mortgage I had on my first house. Now, granted, I'm 100 years old, right, everybody? But that is, oh my gosh, that's overwhelming. And I can't imagine doing something like that as a solopreneur. So making sure you have an emergency fund to fall back on, I think is very important. 6 months minimum if you're a solopreneur. Automation is your friend. Now, what do I mean by that? Set yourself up so that you are automatically paying your bills every month. You're automatically putting aside your savings every month, because when you're by yourself, you're doing everything. So if you can lean into things that help you, like automation, then definitely do it. Retirement plan is another big thing for people in this area. Again, you have no one else to depend on. And if you are a solopreneur, you don't have a corporation over top of you that's helping to fund your retirement. It's all on you. So you want to make sure you're looking at things like SEP IRAs or simple IRAs or solo 401ks, Roth IRAs, whatever they might be, to help support your journey towards retirement. Last, but definitely not least, is work-life balance. Don't be so focused on work that you're not living at the same time. Last time I looked, none of us has a crystal ball to determine when we're leaving God's green earth, right? So he knows, or she knows, depending on your perspective of who your God is, but that person up there knows. You don't. And so the last thing we want to do is be living for work and not living for life. So make sure you have that work-life balance. So here's your mindset tip. You are your greatest asset. You want to make sure that you're taking care of your health, both financial, emotional, and physical. That was not both, but you follow what I'm getting at there. You want to make sure all of your insurances are current. Health insurance, life insurance, car insurance, home insurance. Make sure they're all there. But make sure that you're making space for your freedom and your future planning. So what's the next group of individuals that we're looking at? Well, these are families. So families come in all different shapes and sizes, right? There can be that traditional mom, dad, kids. There could be co-parenting situations. There could be same-sex marriages and families. But your family is your family. And anyone who is really managing shared finances is in this arena. So what are your priorities? Joint financial goals. And I cannot emphasize this enough. I work with a lot of individuals that the two partners do not talk about money, do not share with each other what's going on in their finances, and they come to me because they don't know what to do. And I'm like, okay, well, let's start with a joint bank account. Now, I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of pushback on this, but when you decided to get married, you are a single unit. You are not he and she, or he and he, or she and she. It doesn't. You are a unit. You are together, and together you can succeed so much more than you can apart. And it says a lot to me about your relationship when you cannot talk about your finances. When my husband and I got married, now, oh my God, we've been together for 41 years and we still argue over money, but we talk about money. But when we first got together and we were going to get married, we got engaged, we went to a marriage weekend where it flabbergasted me that there were people on this weekend trip. They had to be there because it was the Catholic Church and you have to be there and you have to talk about these things. And they were getting married in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever it was. And that weekend was the first time that couple talked about money, futures, children, religious beliefs, you name it. And I'm like, whoa, how? I'm 24 years old and I've talked about all of those things with my prospective spouse a bazillion times. And we didn't agree on everything, but we talked about them. How can you enter into a relationship without having that communication? So sorry, went out on a tangent there, but sit down and talk. So you need to have joint financial goals. Have regular open money conversations about your values around money, about your goals around money. Budgeting is key. You got to know where your money is going to make sure that together you can make sure that money's going where it needs to be. So find a way to track your expenses. There are apps, there are Excel spreadsheets, there's pen and paper, and be honest with each other about what's going on. Life insurance and estate planning. Again, you are now a unit. If one of you passes away or gets injured or disabled, you need to have some kind of plan. And life insurance and estate planning is going to allow you to do that. Now, if you've decided to have a family, education is probably key and at the top of your head. Now, not every family is the same. And I tell people this story all the time. I have 3 boys that at the age of 5, I knew what all of them were going to be for the rest of their life. And I'm going to tell you, I'm pretty on target with that. My oldest son, I always thought he was going to help people, and I always thought he was going to do something physical. For a living, he's a salesperson helping people with their roofing needs. So he's really helping people, but he also is a motocross racer and he trains young kids on the safety of riding a dirt bike. My middle son, oh my God, towed things around all the time with a rope behind his bicycle. And I thought he's going to be a tow truck driver. He is in the mechanical field and still wants to be a tow truck driver and own his own tow truck company. My youngest kid didn't do what I thought he was going to do. He played, cowboys and Indians and knew everything about guns that there was to know, was huge on law enforcement. thought he was going to go into law enforcement. He actually got to the final point of going into law enforcement and didn't do it, but he is still helping people. I always thought he would help people. The reason I bring this up is none of my kids had to go to college to do what they do. I made them all go to college because I was like, this is something good. It's an educational opportunity for you. They all went to community college. It didn't cost a lot of money. My point in all of this is saving for my kids is going to be very different for somebody who maybe they think their children are going to go to Stanford or Harvard or Yale. And all of us come from a different perspective of our responsibility as a parent versus your child's responsibility for their own education. There are lots of things that you can do and save in order to support them if that is something you want to do. And I mentioned this already with the first segment of clients, but balancing your needs, making sure that you are supporting each other as you grow. I frequently say, as you know, my husband and I, we grew up together. I was 17, he was 19. Sometimes there were points in our lives when I was way more advanced in my career and, let's be honest with you, my adultness than my husband. But then there were times that he was way more advanced and we kind of balanced each other out, you know, taking care of the kids, taking care of the home, taking care of our careers. So you want to make sure that you're balancing all those needs together. So what's the mindset tip here? Financial wellness for families is about alignment. When everyone's rowing in the same direction, the journey is much smoother. So what's our third segment? It's the FIRE movement, the minimalist lifestyle. So what does FIRE stand for? It's financial independence, retiring early. I think everybody wants to do that, right? Everybody wants to be financially independent, and if they can do it, they want to retire early. But there's a whole movement around it, and it's really about a minimalist lifestyle. This group of people is focused on really aggressive saving and very intentional living. They want freedom over possessions. So the financial focuses for this group of people is a high savings rate. Often 50 to 70% of their income is being saved. That's huge. I don't know that I could do that. I know when I grew up, though, my mom, God bless her heart, she's up in heaven. So she told me when I first started working that I had to save 50% of my paycheck every month or every week or whatever it was, into my savings for something that might happen in the future. Well, what I heard is I had to, and I thought everybody had to. You know, I just didn't think this was a rule my mom made up just for me. Come to find out, not everybody has to do this. But this mantra led me to that mental thinking of pay myself first, whether it's through saving for something in the short term or something in the long term, saving for retirement, whatever it might be. That helped me. But that meant budgeting is tight. And for people in the FIRE movement, that means for them, it's budgeting is also tight. I will tell you that 50% savings mantra helped me to pay for college. So when I graduated from the University of Maryland College Park, go Terrapins, I had no school debt. Now, I also commuted. I didn't live on campus, so I didn't have a lot of those extra expenses a lot of people have. So people in the FIRE movement also have a low cost of living. They're very minimalistic in what they do and what habits they have so that they keep their fixed expenses low. They also are big on passive income. So things like rental properties, buying investment properties and getting that rental income, or some kind of side hustle. You know, they got a hobby that they turn into a job. You know, maybe photography is their side hustle or personal training is their side hustle, but it's a way for them to make extra income to go towards that goal, which is that financial independence, retiring early. They also are very good at I don't know that they're very good at this, but they need to focus on mental and emotional burnout. Think about this. When you work hard and you get your paycheck and you're forcing yourself to put 50 to 70% of it away, you get this tiny little pot of money to work from. God, man, that could be really, really frustrating. You know, I can't buy pizza this week because I had to put that 70%. It's like, man, seriously, I can't go out and have a beer with my friends. So you want to make sure when you're in this FIRE movement that you're taking care of yourself, both financially, which is good what you're doing, but take care of yourself emotionally as well. Now, here's the key. When you retire early, whether that be in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, you want to make sure, because your lifespan could be 90, 100, 110 these days, right? That you're setting yourself up to make sure that you're not going to run out of money before you run out of time and you run out of life. And so you got to understand in this movement what the rules are for withdrawal, what the impact of a volatile stock market, which is called the sequence of return risk, what kind of impact that's going to have on your withdrawal. Biggest thing is health care planning. When we turn 65, we're eligible for Medicare. But if you retire in your 40s and 50s, how are you going to pay for health care? So that's a big one. So the mindset tip here is that financial wellness here isn't just about numbers. It's about purpose and aligning your spending and your saving with what lights you up in life. So the final segment is career shifters and late bloomers. So not everybody follows a traditional path, and that's okay. Some start over at 35, 45, or even 60. And financial wellness is still within reach for these individuals. So what are your priorities? Well, assess and reset is your first one. And that's where you take inventory of where you are, whether it be your income or your debt or your assets, and create a realistic but ambitious plan. And we get a lot of people coming into our office that are doing this. They're like, okay, so I'm 55 and I need to know if I can retire at 65. And by the way, I've not saved anything for my retirement. I'm like, okay, let's sit down. Let's figure it out. It's going to be an ambitious goal. It might have to change some of your lifestyle. We might have to push that 65 to 67, but we're going to do it. We're going to figure it out. Catch up contribution. So the government figured out, hey, a lot of people aren't saving, or a lot of people are behind. And so make sure you're taking advantage of that. When you reach the age of 50, you can contribute more to whatever retirement plan you have. Roth IRA, traditional IRA, 401k, TSP, whatever it might be. You have the ability to contribute more. You want to plan for flexibility. So I mentioned someone comes in and says, I'm 55, I want to retire at 65. You might have to be a little more flexible and say, oh, we might have to wait till we're 67. Or we might have to wait on Social Security, or we might have to wait on, whatever that thing is we're gonna wait on. And the last of that is debt management. You want to make sure that while you're saving for retirement, you're balancing it with what kind of debts do you have? Are they high interest debts? Are they taking taking up a lot of your income and your cash flow? Then let's kind of make sure there's a balance there between paying off that debt and saving for your retirement. Remember, it's not about how late you start. It's about how intentionally you move from here. And those small steps can compound quickly when you're focused. So here's how to create your tailored financial wellness plan. 1, define your life strategy. What stage are you in, and what are your top 3 values? 2, assess your numbers. Net worth, debt, income, expenses. Know what your baselines are. Number 3 is choose 1 or 2 goals as a priority. Is that your emergency fund? Is it paying off debt? Is it retirement? Start small and work from there. Kind of relates back to that whole physical wellness. You can't walk in and expect to deadlift 400 pounds. You got to start somewhere and work your way up. I don't know if I'll ever deadlift 400 pounds, but hey, you never know. Can dream, right? The 4th thing is you want to automate and simplify. The more you can set up automatic savings plans, automatic debt repayment plans, the easier it's going to be on you. And then check in regularly. You don't want to set up this financial plan and say, oh yeah, set it, forget it. It's going to work for me forever. Things happen. Life has a way of delivering you things you didn't expect. So you want to make sure that you're checking in on your plan regularly. What's regularly? I don't know. Once a year, twice a year, every quarter, every month if that's your game. But set something up to check in. So thanks for tuning in to Be the Hummingbird. And remember, financial wellness isn't a destination. It's a journey. It's building a habit of aligning your money with your life and every day. So thank you for listening to Be the Hummingbird. I'm your host, Laura Johnson. This podcast has been presented by Listen Frederick. And as always, it's not goodbye, it's see you later.
Live live radio, local podcasts, the Frederick Podcast Network at listenfrederick.com.